OP had an affair with his secretary and had a child with her. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for the absurd age gap and the way we started. And I agree, and I deserve it. But I would really like some genuine advice past going to counseling. She won't agree and I can't afford it anyways. Tangible things that I can work on and introduce to help us get past this either as a couple or as effective co-parents. Long story short, my ex-wife and I were together since middle school. We have 4 daughters in their teens. I was a SAH'd and part-time worker for most of my life until my youngest was in middle school. My ex agreed to invest in a passion project business of mine. I hired a receptionist. We started an affair and the baby trapped me. Now we're living together and have a young son. She resents me because she feels she was fooled. She saw me as a business owner who had a nice car, nice clothes, took her to nice places, etc. She thought I was rich, so she got pregnant on purpose, admitted it, not an assumption, hoping to use me to not work and sponsor her family from overseas. Well, actually, my ex-wife and her family are the rich ones. None of our homes were in our names. We were renting from her parents and giving them a nominal fee with the expectation that these homes would be left to my ex and me after their death. This allowed my ex's salary, i.e. $150K, not huge in the high coal area, to stretch, and we lived a really good life. I left our marriage with half our savings, about $25K, and my personal property and car. I lost my business due to lack of funding, and I did not seek alimony. I resent her because I feel I was fooled. I thought she loved me and couldn't believe the interest a young, hot woman showed in me. She was incredibly persistent and pursued me strongly, but she has no feelings for me, no care or desire. Now that the ruse is dropped, I can't believe I gave up my entire life for what I see as an ego trip. I loved my ex-wife, really, I did and still do, but I had never been with another woman, and any attempts to open our relationship were shot down. This was like a wet dream come true, and I was weak. Now both me and my GF are in a place we didn't imagine. She's living in a shitty apartment with an old man and still has to work. I've lost my kids, the love of my life, my family, my lifestyle, my business, and it's all 100% my own fault. She stopped being intimate with me as soon as she found out I wasn't rich. We're still together on my end because I feel like I need to have something to show for this shit show of a situation. At least I got a son and a partner out of it. At least it wasn't for nothing. And also because I don't trust her with our son. She would never agree to give me full custody, and she's not a good mother. I would be worried for his safety and the people she would have him around. I honestly don't know why she hasn't left me from her end. What can I do to improve this situation? I know logically it would be best to break up and co-parent, but I'm afraid for my son and I'm embarrassed for myself. Is there a way to salvage this situation? I'm thinking of just telling her we can have an open relationship. She can sleep with whoever she wants and go wherever she wants as long as she lives here. So I can have my son 100% of the time. I work from home. I don't know if that's the answer here though. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. Update 1. I had an affair, my ex-wife divorced me, and my kids absolutely refused to speak to me. I was an incredibly involved dad. Most of their lives I worked 1 to 2 days a week and then stayed home with them the rest. I was closer to them than their mom, and I'd like to think I've never disappointed them before this. I made a mistake. It's been over 2 years since it all came out, and I haven't been able to make any headway. My eldest is hung up on the fact that I now have a young son. Every firstborn of each generation in my family has been a boy for a long time, and she broke the streak. I honestly could not care less about that. I've always thought that pressure was stupid, and I'm not a traditionally masculine guy that always wanted a boy. But she's so hurt that I have a son, and is convinced that's all I've ever wanted, and he's replaced her and my daughters. None of that is true. All of my girls said they don't consider themselves to have a brother and want nothing to do with him. All 4 of them feel betrayed and blame me for breaking up our family. I deserve the blame, it's my fault, and I take responsibility. But I can't change the past, and I don't know how I can begin making up for it. My ex has full custody of them, but I'm supposed to have visitation 1 weekend a month. They're all in therapy, and it was suggested to not enforce the visitation and respect their boundaries while they work through it. I've done that the entire time, and there's no progress made. Does anyone have any suggestions about what I can do here? My ex absolutely hates me, but was always supportive of the girls staying in contact with me. She's respected their wishes but still gives me updates once in a while. My eldest is turning 18 soon and graduating this coming year and probably moving away for university. I feel like the time to make up with her especially is slipping away. I know I'm the shitty person here. I was a terrible husband, but I was honestly a really good dad, and I miss my girls. Has anyone been through something like this? How did it turn out? What are your suggestions? Update 2. Good news. My girlfriend and I have broken up. She has gone back to her home country and left my son with me. Refused to sign any formal custody agreement, so I'm hoping she stays there and doesn't bother us again. I'm pretty sure if she comes back and demands time with him, I have a good case for maintaining custody. She's not even interested in FaceTiming with him, so he remembers her. I feel bad that my son will deal with a shitty absent mother, but I hope I can get him into therapy as he grows. Bad news. I've tried my best to insist on visitation with my daughters, and that has fallen through. They absolutely refuse to see me. They wrote me a letter together that says how much they hate me, how betrayed they feel, how they'll never forgive me, and how my son will never be their brother. To not even bother telling him about them because they'll never be interested in knowing him. Just to forget about them altogether and move on with my new family. I have no legal recourse. The youngest is 13 now, old enough to have a say in custody arrangements. And I don't think forcing them to see me would do me any favors long-term anyways. They also included pictures of their mother's wedding. My ex has no obligation to tell me about her personal life, but I'm pretty pissed that there is a man living with my daughters that I didn't know about. It is a family friend that has been in their lives 10+ years, so not a total stranger but still hurt to see pictures of their recent wedding and family pictures with my daughters. They mentioned that they have a father figure and don't need me anyways. The whole thing really hurt. I know I have no right to feel hurt that my ex has moved on when I cheated on her, but their whole relationship has moved very fast, so I'm now wondering if they started it before we got divorced. No way to know now. Doesn't matter anyways. My ex agreed to keep me up to date and send pictures of my daughters once in a while. After dealing with my son's mom, I'm grateful she is so good to our girls, and I don't have to worry about their well-being. I'm trying to focus on being a good dad to my son, and patiently waiting for my girls to grow up and reach out. It may never happen, but I'm hopeful that they will understand me more as they become adults and gain context for life. Comment. Turns out the grass wasn't greener on the other side. It was a pit of shit and self-pity and lack of self-awareness. What is truly sad about this whole situation is I feel like OP says he knows he is to blame, but he doesn't necessarily get it. There is still very much a woe is me feel to everything he says, and he is clearly hung up on this idea that his receptionist ex-girlfriend was just a gold digger, and it feels like he sees her as ultimately the bad guy. And yes, her part in all of this is terrible, and she's a horrendous mother, but he was still the one who chose to fuck her and ruin his marriage. He just had to get his dick wet because he'd only been with his wife, and getting to do so with someone young and beautiful was just icing on the cake. But even then, he makes out like it's her fault for seducing him, like he just couldn't possibly resist. Even in the last update where he talks about how his ex-wife has remarried, he can't help but make a dig about how fast she moved on, and that maybe she was cheating too, because in his mind, then he isn't the only one in the wrong, and he can make himself feel better while smearing her. It's all got a very me feel in his writing. He was such a good dad for staying home with his kids, living off his in-laws' wealth, and he has tried so hard to back off, but all he wants is his old life back, and for things to go back to when everything went his way. I feel sorry for his ex-wife and their daughters, and I feel truly sorry for his poor son, who has a shitty mother and didn't ask to be born into any of this foolery. OP, on the other hand, needs to grow up and stop making excuses for his selfish behavior. We have come to the end of our story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. Tell us what you think about this story in the comments.